Hey everyone, sorry that I'm a little late. I had some technical difficulties. Oh my gosh. YouTube is harder than I ever thought it would be. Just gonna give it a couple of seconds. Gonna text people who couldn't find me the link. Hi everyone, welcome to my new weekly live. I'm gonna do these every Sunday at 1 p.m. I have a clubhouse room at sorry guys. I have a clubhouse room at 11 on Sundays through the club Melanin Nurses. I'm one of the founders of that club on Clubhouse. It's on Instagram. Two of my friends founded it on Instagram, Melanin_Nurses. And then I love Clubhouse. So I was like, I need a Clubhouse club, and I want it to be a safe space for people of color, like whether they're in the health care industry or not, just to share their stories. And we had a nursepreneur room today, which was really good. And next week we'll be having a PhD room that I'll be hosting with some of my friends. And one of them is in a nursing PhD. So it'll be open to all people who are interested in PhDs and everyone who has a PhD. So definitely tap in. But today I wanted to start this room, this live, because a lot of people assume that I had like perfect grades and perfect credentials to get into the programs that I got into. And I'm here to share with you that I did not. I was not a straight A student. I was an A through Z student. Like I had every grade that you could think of. And I still made it here and was able to take advantage of opportunities that I have gotten to take advantage of. So I just want to share with you guys. Feel free to write in the chat too if you have any questions or if you want to take this conversation elsewhere. But just a little bit about me. I'm a nursing PhD student at the University of Pennsylvania, which is the #1 nursing school in the world. It's also an Ivy League, and here my research focus is mainly on finding new ways to root for everybody Black, really. I'm focusing on hypertension as a disease because that's something that a lot of people, period, in the United States have to deal with, but disproportionately Black men are affected by hypertension and everything that comes with it. And the intervention that I'm looking at is at-home physical activity. And this was pre-COVID, before everyone was doing the at-home workouts. So I picked that intervention because it is free. So it's something that people who are of low income can do if they have the space to do it, which is another conversation. But that's what I do here. Previously, I went to nursing school at the University of Maryland. I did an entry-level master's. It was the #1 clinical nurse leader entry-level master's program in the country at the time when I got in. I can share how I paid for schooling. So that is what I did previously. And before that, I went to Rutgers, and I was a transfer student from University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. So in terms of paying for schooling, heavy on loans before at this point. So I am a American first gen college student. So I didn't really have like the supports that a lot of my peers had to go to school. So in grad school, even to the point of taking out loans to like support life, like it wasn't just about loans for school. And I think that's something that a lot of us go through. A lot of first gen students, a lot of go through that where the student loan crisis is an issue, not just because like schooling, a lot of us need to support our way through school as well. So at Rutgers and at UMass Dartmouth, I had like various scholarships and grants and things like that. So it wasn't too bad. Where it got bad was nursing school for my master's. I paid double because I was an out-of-state student, and it's just an expensive program, period. So eventually, while there, what a lot of people don't know is if you're a TA or a research assistant, a lot of times the school will pay for your tuition in addition to paying you money. So thankfully, I was offered a research assistantship from the Office of Global Health. And that is actually the work that I did there actually inspired me to pursue a PhD. I didn't want to do it initially, but it was part-time. So I think I was supposed to work like maybe 10 hours a week, but like the way that it works, those types of programs work is you work as much as or as little as your boss wants you to. So I never really worked much. I mostly analyzed data, and they paid for, I think, I want to say they paid for like 6 of my credits or something. Um, and then I also got a stipend that was pretty generous. So that's like always an option. At my school, there was also a scholarship where a family pays for you to go to school. It's called the Conway Scholarship. The Conways paid for like a lot of nursing students. And I always tell people to look more so into school specific scholarships. I never had much luck with those like big scholarships, like those websites like FastWeb and things like that. I think because you're competing with so many different people. But if you focus on school specific scholarships, then you're more likely to get them. And I always say B's get degrees, but A's get scholarships, because the people that I knew that did receive that scholarship, they were all like straight A students. And I think it's because the family chose who they would give the scholarship for. And if you think about it, like if you're putting out money, you would want people that you would think would actually finish the program. So it made sense. I didn't get it because I was ripping and running through Baltimore my first semester and got straight B's my first semester, but I have a lot of friends who got it and they were able to get a full ride in that way. So I always tell people to look to your school for that. Right now, my program is fully funded, so I go to school for free, and they pay me about $3,000 a month. And I have health insurance too, which is helpful for any of my nurses that are looking into doctoral programs. It's nice because during breaks, I'm able to take travel assignments and make more than I probably would have made working full time throughout the year anyway. I also work PRN, and if I manage my time better than I do, then I would like honestly be able to still work. But self-care is important, and I like naps. So I do not work much during the semester, and I don't feel the need to anyway. And I'm trying to grow this platform. So prayfully soon, this will be another source of income. It's not why I'm doing it, but it would be nice to have it as a source of income. So don't forget to subscribe and watch my videos. But that's how I paid for school. And that's honestly the loan issue is why I wasn't planning on going back. But what a lot of people don't know is that most PhD programs do provide full funding. The amount of money that they pay you differs per school, and how long they pay you differs too. So like my program only pays me while I'm in school, so the 9 months out of the year, but some programs will pay you during the summers as well. So that's something to look into if you're going that route. And then I'm also looking into grants now. So when I am presented with a grant, what's going to happen is that grant, whether it's from the NIH or Johnson & Johnson or Robert Wood Johnson, those are like big ones that people usually go for. The grant will pay my tuition, and then they will also pay my stipend as well. And the money is usually, sometimes it's predetermined, but sometimes it's based off of what you ask for. So if I say like, hey, I'm doing this research project, I need X amount to do the research, and then I need X amount for life, then they will evaluate that and decide how much to pay me. So that's something to look into as well. And just know that, again, if you don't have the grades to get in, because I you know, didn't always have the best grades or the best test scores. Like for example, here at Penn, they still take the GRE, which is something a lot of schools are phasing out. And I took the GRE maybe like 5 years ago. They expire after 5 years too. So it's my last time to use them. And I scored well on the reading and writing, but math I did not. And Penn uh, doesn't have a set score, but they highly suggest that you get at least the 50th percentile in all subjects. And I definitely got that reading and writing. And in math, I got the 19th percentile. So I'm here. I'm sure they couldn't trust me to do addition, but they trusted me to come into the school. And there's always ways to pivot, like, or like to redirect people from times or parts of your application that aren't as strong. So for example, for me, what I told them is, hey, I was a research assistant. I analyzed data. I know how to analyze data. I took biostatistics, which is the hardest class that you would take in a PhD program. I took it in my master's program. Unfortunately, I had to take it again while here because I don't know, they wanted me to take it again. But I did get an A in biostats, so I know I can do what's needed to do well in a PhD program. So that's how I was able to word it in my essay. And I wasn't asked about it during my interviews, maybe because I addressed it in my essay, but that's something to think about and talk about. And then a big thing with grades, a little gem I'll give you guys. Oh, you're welcome, Tony. A little gem I'll give you guys when it comes to grades is the way you word it is know what challenges you faced. So, and use like evidence and research to back it up. So for me, I grew up in an inner city. I went to high school with over 5,000 other kids. Shout out to all my Brockton people, my Brockton High people. I'm also a American first gen college student. So I wasn't asked about it in my grades really in my Penn interview, probably because my grades in my grad school were much better. After that first semester getting straight B's, I started getting like all A's. So my GPA was pretty good. But Hopkins did ask me, like they were like, in 1942, I see that you took Orgo and failed. And I was like, yeah, I did. So like I took Orgo mad times. Like I think the first time I dropped it or drew, the second time I failed it, and then the third time I went to community college after graduation and retook it and got an A. So they dug deep because that was like a long time ago. And the way that I answered that question is I used my experiences kind of not to my advantage because they are real things that make it difficult for us to do well. Like I just told them, hey, like I grew up in the inner city. I went to high school with 5,000 other kids. There wasn't even enough seats for the students. Sometimes they would sit on windowsills or on the floor, wherever they can sit because the school was so crowded and our books were super old. We didn't have the supports that we needed. And although I did well in high school, when I got to college, it was a whole different ball game in terms of the rigor. I took advanced classes and AP classes in high school, but in comparison to many of my peers who went to private schools and prep schools and schools where they had the supports that they needed and they had parents who were college graduates and had money for tutors, I didn't have the same advantages that they did, and I fell behind in my science classes. So that's something that's real. That's something that we see in research. So anyone who's going to be interviewing you, hopefully they know that. Hopefully they're like researchers or keep up with research. I would think so. So they like, my interviewer, it's not that she was happy to hear that, but she was happy to know like I had reasoning for that. And I just pivoted back to my grad school grades. Like, after graduating from college, I went back and retook some classes and I was able to support myself with a job. So there were certain stressors that I didn't experience because it's a lot when you're in college trying to figure out how you're going to pay for your semester or trying to figure out how you're going to even pay your phone bill. And then you have an oral exam the next day. Like, just be honest about your experiences. And I think as long as you can explain them and explain like how you've grown, like saying like, hey, like now I am financially stable. Now I do have these experiences. Now I do know how to ask for help when I'm struggling. Like that's not something that I knew how to do before in undergrad, then they're like receptive to that. So that's a gem that I can give. And that was, I think someone else actually told me to say that. Like someone like threw something out like that, like, hey, like if you're concerned about your grades, like mention your background, and that helps because they know that you weren't just like lollygagging and didn't do well. Like you have real life experiences, and a lot of people of color have real life experiences that contribute to them not doing as well as their peers in college. So that's a little gem, a little life hack. Does anyone else have any questions? I've been like on a roll, on a spiel for a while. If no one else has any more questions, definitely do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Tap in with me on Clubhouse. Let's chat. Tap in with me on Instagram. I'm easier to reach on YouTube or Clubhouse for some reason, though. I feel like my Instagram gets flooded. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for tuning in. But yeah, come back next week, Sunday at 1 p.m. We can talk about whatever you want, or maybe I'll think of something. And tap into Clubhouse where we'll be talking about PhDs and letting you know if it's worth it or not. I'm not sure yet. I go back and forth on it every day. So we'll see how I feel next Sunday. Thank you guys again for tuning in. See you next week. Oh, I appreciate you, Georgette. Thanks for coming.